let the kid get hot.
That voice you heard right there at the end of the Robert Ford home run call number 2 last night over at Minute Maid Park here on Astros Radio. Your home for Astros baseball, Sports Talk 790, was that of Josh Reddick, former teammate of Alex's and favorite of Astros fans, favorite of ours, and great to have you join us here now. Josh, why don't you just set us off with how was game number 1 with the headset on, calling baseball on the radio alongside Robert?
Definitely different. A little bit harder than the pre and post game that I've been a part of here recently, but it was a lot of fun just watching the game from a different perspective and, just trying to kind of talk about it and try to flow with Robert as well as I could. That was kind of the tough part, knowing when to chime in and when not to talk.
You have been a part of the television side of the broadcast on Space City Home Network as one of the analysts, been sitting alongside Brian Bogusevic and on nights with Esh, Michael Bourne, Mike Stanton, great group of people there, and now doing a little radio, sitting in for Steve Sparks. And I'm sure it's not a coincidence. I know TV game number 1 was an Astros win for you because I joked with Kevin that you should never leave. Now, radio game number 1 was also a win for the Astros. We're trying to tell our listeners that we're seeing the signs of a team coming out of their early season funk. Are we seeing the right things? Is that what you're seeing? Is this reality?
Yeah, I think so. They're definitely heading in the right direction. And I'm not trying to, jinx anything, but I'm 4-0 whenever I'm talking about the team and covering the team. So hopefully that's something that we can continue this week because they've got me tonight, tomorrow, the next day, and Friday for the Space City Network. So they need to string together some wins. And they, with the night like Bregman had last night, who better than to be a guy who's going to get this team hot and get them going on a really good streak?
They're getting their money's worth out of you. Let's start with Breggy because you know him as well as anyone, and we were just talking about how cerebral a player he is and how he's, the baseball equivalent of a gym rat. Is it possible, in your opinion, when it comes to him, but just in general, that guys can get in their own head and not just, kind of get out of their own way and just try and play the game when they're going through extended struggles like he had gone through?
Yeah, I think he, when you see Breggy, everybody knows how tough he is on himself and how very analytical and how much he breaks everything down to a T of a T of a T. And he breaks it down for a lot more than a lot of other guys, and that's all he thinks about. Breggy eats and breathes baseball 24/7. So I know, knowing him, that he was going home, breaking everything down, waking up, breaking everything down. So he can get a little, overdo it a little bit, but simplify things last night, I think, very well. And I think he put it best whenever he talked about, guiding that knob through the zone and really just not dragging the barrel. And that he showed that last night on 2 very good hanging breaking balls that, good hitters are supposed to hammer. And it was like watching the old Breggy up there.
As you're watching the team this year, because, Bregman, he kind of has that reputation as being a slow starter or whatever, but it's hilarious because he eventually becomes the Alex Bregman we all know. But as you're watching this season unfold, especially in light of the last 7 preceding it, have you ever seen so many things seemingly going against a would-be contender like this Astros team has dealt with? And obviously injuries and that kind of stuff come along with the territory, but it just feels like they could not catch a break in any way, shape, or form.
No, it's hard to pinpoint a team that I may have seen personally. It's teams start off slow. It's just what happens, and then I always tell fans, and when I see them out in public, it's like, be glad they're doing it now, because if this was August and September, then everybody would be losing their minds. And you want to get these things out of the way early, because if you break down a season, every team's going to go through a stretch that they went through. At some point in the season, every team, doesn't matter if you're the Dodgers, it doesn't matter if you're the Astros, it doesn't matter if you're the Cincinnati Reds. Everybody's going to go through a bad stretch, and it's going to get magnified way too hard, and everybody's going to look at it way too much. But they're getting out of the way early. By the time we get to July and August, nobody will be talking about this stretch one bit.
Josh Reddick joining us here on Sports Talk 790. Adam Wexler, Adam Clanton here with you. You've been in a lot of different clubhouses, and I want to get into the dynamic of the leadership angle of it, but also wanted to begin with a new manager. They've obviously made a change from Dusty Baker, who you played under here, and made it to Joe Espada, who was obviously a part of the team when you were here as well. The list of managers you've played for is incredibly strong. All of them have been to or won a World Series other than Bob Melvin, and it seems like he's on a great team almost every year. He just has not been able to do that. What's the challenge for someone who's been with these guys like Joe has so much to moving into that much more important big-time communicator running the team chair as Joe is in now?
I think there's several things that you can look at. Good thing about Joe is he's been here for so long. He knows how to communicate with his guys. He knows how to talk to these guys, and he's already got a relationship with probably 85 to 90% of this roster. And, that's half your battle as a new manager coming in. These guys come out of different organizations, and even Dusty had to come over here and learn everybody, and he did a great job at it. But when you're here and you've been here for a couple of years, it makes it that much easier for you to transition into that role. And, looking at another way of looking at things is he's with a good team. He's been with a good team here in this organization for years, so it's a lot easier to come when you have a good team than you're going, when you're trying to do like a rebuilding year or something like that. So he probably got into a really good situation, and I think it's definitely the comfort level for him has to be huge. And then you get your rough start. Some people can pinpoint that and look back at the manager and blame it all on that. But you know what? End of the day, like I said, everybody goes through it. And like I said, we're going to look past that once the end of the year shows up.
The other part of it is jumping inside the clubhouse. Group you were with had all sorts of leaders, and they've had many more over the years. Some are the same. Some are still there now. What do you believe the leadership dynamic is inside the Astros clubhouse currently? Who do they look to? Who has a louder voice beyond just watch what he does and he leads by example?
Oh, I mean, that's simple. We literally love Jose Altuve for a reason. And, I think when you put that quote together, your two guys come to mind, and Justin Verlander and Jose, because Altuve's been here from the start. He's been here from the transition from, the bad years to what they're doing now and creating this dynasty. And we've all seen JV's big moments when he stepped up and from, the games in the first World Series we're in, where he comes up and he's screaming at the dugout to get us fired up. And nobody sees that behind the doors, because we had so many team meetings behind the closed doors and nobody sees who leads it, and it was always JV. JV was always the one getting us going, firing us up, getting on our butts if we needed to. And Jose doesn't hold back either. If there was something that needed to be addressed, he took what he needed to do, and he'd get in your face if he needed to. And I'm speaking from experience. They've lit in my butt a few times, but it makes everybody a better person and a better player and a better teammate, and that's what you want. Once you become a better team and a better teammate, it makes it that much easier to show up and win every day.
What did Justin say that night in the dugout at Dodger Stadium?
I have no idea. I don't think I was near him. I don't think I was near him, because if I remember, that was Game 2, right? That was the big Marwin home run. So I honestly don't know. I was probably not even in the dugout. I was probably in the video room or something. But I really don't know what he said. I'd have to ask him. I'm not even sure he knows what he said.
By the way, since you brought it up, and this is a good question for a member of that team, we've talked about this a lot, and there have been a lot of them throughout this run. Is Marwin Gonzalez's home run in Game 2 of the 2017 World Series the biggest home run in Astros history?
Ooh, man, that's tough. If not, it's definitely top 3. It's hard to pick. And those questions are so hard to pick a number one because so many people have different opinions. I mean, you could look at that one and, who knows? If that doesn't happen, you look at Altuve's home run, Yuli's home run in Game 5. Like, Yuli takes Kershaw deep on a 3-run homer. Altuve takes Maeda deep on a 3-run homer in a big situation. There's a lot of things that can pop out to your mind. I mean, look way back at Lance Berkman's big home run in Game 5 of the NLDS, I think it was. So
yep.
A lot of them come to mind. But yeah, if you're talking like World Series home runs, I think that it's definitely number one. If it's World Series home runs for the Astros, I think it stands up as number one.
And also, since you brought it up, is Game 5 of the 2017 World Series the stupidest baseball team or game you've ever been a part of or even seen?
That
was exhausting.
No, it's not.
Really?
No, it's not. I'm going to make this final call just because we won. Crazy game to be a part of. But I was a part of the 2014 AL wildcard game, Royals Athletics, where we were up by, I think, 7 at one point in the 7th. And we ended up getting walked off in, I think, the 12th or 13th.
Ooh.
And we had Lester on the mound, and it was set up perfect for us to win. And we got walked off, and they came all the way back. I'm going to say that one just because we lost in the way that we lost, because we were so far ahead, and then we gave it up, and we're on the road. And then I think just with us winning here, it's definitely right there. It's close. It's very, very close. It's definitely the second best World Series game, I think, in history.
The fact that you have a choice, that's pretty sweet.
Well, that's what I liked about the Astros answer, because you're kind of only scratching the surface on Astros postseason home run excellence. Even within games, you rattled off multiple homers from the Game 5. There were clearly more homers after Marwin's homer in Game 2 in the late stages in extra innings. And this is what I would imagine you, much like the fans, still marvel at to this day. The 7 years of this, now potentially 8, it's not as easy as you guys and this team have made it look. Do you consider this just, it is almost unthinkable to me. Teams won't do this again.
No, it's a pretty magical run. And as players, I think we look at it as, I don't even think we think about it, really. We just come to the ballpark, and all I remember from my 4 years here is that every person on that roster expected to win. And if we didn't win, we were genuinely hurt about it. And I think that's one of the things that make a dynasty like that work. And that's something that's not every day either. You talk about being in a big league clubhouse is one thing, but if you don't have a good chemistry, even a semi-good chemistry, you're not going to play it to your full potential on the field. And that's just the bottom line. I've never been a part of a dugout that's been so supportive of their teammates and been genuinely happy for everybody to succeed. And that's a pretty special feeling to have.
One last thing, batting from the left side in the couple of weeks now that he's been here, you have any initial thoughts on what you see with Joey Loperfido as an Astro?
I think a guy that's come up and done way above what he was probably expected to do for this ball club, and done some great things in some big situations, some big hits, made a great defensive play on that left field wall here. So I think he's definitely maybe exceeding expectations, but I think in his eyes, definitely something that he knew he was capable of.
Josh, I know you probably have multiple. Your favorite signed piece of wrestling memorabilia?
Ooh, okay.
Because I've got the big gold belt signed by Flair, but I've got 5 other belts autographed as well. So I'm very curious.
Yeah, I've got the Flair belt. I've got the 30 for 30 signed by Flair, personalized sign. That's probably not it. I'm gonna go. So Triple H about 10 years ago, just randomly out of the blue, sent me a package, and it was a Money in the Bank briefcase signed by D-Generation X.
Whoa!
And I always thought that was a cool piece because it's a Money in the Bank contract. So where do you display it in your man cave? You dangle it from the ceiling in the middle of the room.
You did it?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's the only way. That's the only way to display it. Yeah, I just tied a little bit of rope to it and hung it from the center of my man cave, and it just sits there and slowly spins around.
So how long until the kids set up the ladder and try to take it from you?
It could be a few years. They're not into wrestling just yet. The only wrestling they know is Daddy throwing them into their ball pit. But we'll get to that point because we have a trampoline, we have a big pool. Those days are coming.
Poor Jet.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm looking forward to those days too. Well, Josh, we appreciate the time, and we're really enjoying seeing you or hearing you on the broadcast. And good luck the rest of the season, and let's catch up again soon.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, Josh Reddick here on Sports Talk 790 as he's part of the broadcast here on your home for Astros baseball, Sports Talk 790 throughout this series against the Oakland A's. We will come right back. We'll wrap things up on a Tuesday edition of the show next.